Hey guys, what's up? lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the brand new action mystery drama with a touch of comedy. Bad Times at the El Royale, written by Dave Godard. I can't say his last name. Starring Dakota Johnson, John Hamm, Nick Offerman, Cynthia Erivo, Louis Pullman, who's awesome, by the way. Semi-newcomer to the group. Awesome. Louis Pullman is awesome. More to come from him. Who else is in it? Oh, Chris Hemsworth. I think I'm forgetting someone. Somebody else. And someone else and someone else. I'm terrible with names right now. Oh, Jeff Bridges. So, the plot of this film is this group of people wind up at the El Royale, which is a hotel slap dab in the middle of California and Nevada, so you can pick a side on the California side, you could pick a room on the California side, you can pick a room on the Nevada side. But everyone who goes to the El Royale, this is taking place in the late 60s, early 70s, around that time. Everyone's got an intricate backstory and who is on a mission for something. So it turns out John Hamm's character is a vacuum salesman who's actually an FBI agent and who is debugging his room, and he finds out that the El Royale is this pervert hotel because there's back hallways, around every room, and all the mirrors are two-way mirrors, so you can see what's going in it. And Miles, who is Miles Miller, played by Louis Pullman, is the concierge who is told by upper management to bring a camera from two-way mirror to two-way mirror to film whoever is staying in the rooms. Pretty much, years back when there were senators and high-profile celebrities who would stay at the El Royale, but not so much anymore since the El Royale lost their liquor license in the state of California, I believe. So half the hotel can't have liquor, but the other half of the hotel can have liquor. It's a little intricate. So then we have Dakota Johnson's character kidnapping this girl who turns out to be her sister, and she's trying to save her from a cult led by Chris Hemsworth. It just makes sense. Billy Lee, Chris Hemsworth, is this cult leader. You have Cynthia Erivo playing this soul singer, amazing voice, and she's on her way to Reno. And it turns out that Jeff Bridges' character is... he's fronting as a priest, but he's actually a robber, and his brother Nick Offerman 10 years back hid a bag full of money that they stole in a room at the El Royale, and Jeff Bridges couldn't remember if it was room 4 or 5 on the California side, because he's suffering from dementia. So he just got out of prison, suffering from dementia, picks room 5, but it turns out that Cynthia Erivo's character, Darlene, is in room 4, so then Jeff Bridges tries to drug Darlene, but to get into her floor, but then Darlene figures things out and bashes him over the head, and he gets knocked out, and then Miles finds him, and then Miles eventually shows him that, previously Miles inadvertently showed him the pervert aspect of the hotel. So then John Hamm's character is trying to save Dakota Johnson's sister, who's the kidnapped victim at this point, and then Dakota Johnson winds up shooting John Hamm, and then Miles happens to be in the back. Miles, played by Louis, in the back of the two-way mirror, gets splattered with glass, and then eventually the culmination of everything, Jeff Bridges and Cynthia Erivo's characters make amends and pull up her floorboard while she's singing to mask the sound as Dakota Johnson, holding a shotgun, looks through the two-way mirror. You have Miles, who's desperately trying to repent his sins because he's killed over 123 people, and through war, and through when he's a kid, and then through recent times when he's seen all the terrible things happening at the El Royale. So he needs to be, what's the word? Amended? Not amended. Forgiven? I don't know the word. I don't know the religious term, the Christian term for these things, the Catholic term for these things, because not all Christians do confessions. It's literally just the Catholics that confess. Whatever. So Billy Lee, who is Chris Hemsworth, who's gorgeous, obviously, strutting around in his chiseled abs because it's Chris Hemsworth and he can. His Billy Lee character is this cult leader who tries to take back Dakota Johnson and her sister, because Rose, Dakota Johnson's sister in the movie, is like Billy's favorite or something, so like he has to save her, but like he plays this roulette game of chance to see who's gonna live and who's gonna die, and the only two people that survive are spoiler alert, Jeff Bridges' character and Cynthia Erivo's character. Everyone else winds up dying from one way or another. Who shot who when and who stabbed who here, and super, super intricate. 2 hours and 20 minutes long. When you're first watching, Jerry Gary, right, from Parks and Rec, is in the movie for 15 seconds, and it was such a Jerry moment. And then, if you've never seen Parks and Rec, you don't know why it's so funny that there was a Jerry moment in this movie, which is even funnier because Nick Offerman, who plays Ron Swanson in Parks and Rec, is a character in this film. It's a great movie, actually. But this movie, you have to watch with the mindset that you're watching a TV series, that you're not watching a movie, because the first 3 solid minutes of this movie starts off with Nick Offerman ripping up the hotel room floor, put the bag of money in the floor, and then he gets killed. And you're like, oh, okay, this is an indie film. It's very artistic. It's literally one camera right now showing all of this stuff going on over the duration of ripping a floorboard up and then properly hammering back in. And only Nick Offerman, the woodworker that he is, can properly hammer back in nails into a floor. Kudos to the carpenter master, Nick Offerman. But once you're in that mindset and then you realize that there's so much intricate backstory to these beautiful characters that we don't get to see. Rose, for instance, kills her father. But why? What was the catalyst? How did she wind up killing her father and winding up in California? We see flashbacks of Darlene's character as a backup singer, who then eventually gets to Reno. But what happened to the group she was with? What was the mission that John Hamm was actually on to debug his room, but it was bugged with another unit's stuff? But what was his mission? Why was he at the El Royale in the first place? How did Miles get to the El Royale? Right? He was in the Vietnam War. He has been the concierge and recording all these heinous things for the upper management, sending it to a P.O. box in Pennsylvania. But how did he get from the Vietnam War killing people to the El Royale? Why did Dakota Johnson and her little sister Rose go to the El Royale? How did Dakota escape the cult with her sister tied up and thrown in the back of the trunk? There's a lot of questions that are unanswered that could have been beautifully spread out in a miniseries. If this was an 8-episode miniseries, it would have been amazing. I could have easily seen it win a Golden Globe if it was an 8-episode miniseries, because this is the kind of miniseries that would win a Golden Globe in this particular setting. It's confusing why it wasn't a miniseries and it was just a 2-hour and 20-minute movie, which means it was probably over 4 hours worth of actual film that they filmed, and that Dave Goddard's story actually was trimmed a lot. So I'm curious if the extra story that he actually wrote, which was then trimmed down to 2 hours and 20 minutes, how many more hours worth of story is there to tell? / could it be put into a director's cut, or be repurposed into a movie? Like Deadpool, for instance. Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 is apparently getting trimmed down into one singular movie being released this Christmas as a PG-13 thing. Seeing how well it's going to work with the mainstream media, with the mainstream audience, because Disney now owns the rights to Fox, and Deadpool is a Fox franchise, an R-rated Fox franchise. But since Marvel and Disney is now gaining back the Marvel rights of the Fox franchises, X-Men, Deadpool, Fantastic Four, they're going to see how well that does. So that's what I'm saying. These production companies can easily edit stuff down. So I'm curious if they could edit stuff up. Like, for instance, Step Brothers, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, is an over 5-hour something minute long movie. Basically pretty much just all improv. But it was edited down to the, hour 45 that it actually is. So that's the thing. I want to know these backstory questions to these particular characters that were introduced, because these are very well-rounded characters, but there's more to round, right? I feel like we only got 180 worth of the characters when we should have done a full 360 worth of character. I wanted a full, whole character, but I only got half a character, and I want to know the other whys. So will this become a box office success? I don't know, because it's not panning that well with critics. It's not panning that well with audiences. It's panning well. It's not panning fantastic. It's like 70s across the board, which is fine. C's get degrees, right? But if this was a TV series, everyone and their mother would be talking about it. And not just because it's a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. These are amazing actors and actresses that you have in this film, which could have been an amazing miniseries. That's all I gotta say. Details were missing that could have been there if this was a TV show. But when you watch it, you gotta think of it like a TV show. Because it's awesome when you think of it like a TV show. This movie was awesome because it was a TV show. That's the best way to say it. Did you see Bad Times at the El Royale? What did you think of the awesome Chris Hemsworth not being Thor for once? Louis Pullman, right? How awesome was him playing that Miles character, right? When he was crying, when he was repenting, you felt it. I felt it. He was an awesome Miles. Miles Miller. Cynthia has an amazing voice. I want to see more of her. We're good. We're good. We've talked enough, all right? Mucho mahalo, guys.